subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Vegas 32 at the Apex. Big main event, guys. Big main event this weekend between Sandhagen and Dillashaw. Dillashaw coming off that long layoff. I'll be going over that. We will discuss that shortly. Good main card. Good main card with a couple big women's fights, which I'll be going over. Six fights on the main card, even though the opening fight I don't really consider a main fight type of main card type of fight, but we'll go over it quickly. Another good week last week, guys. Another good week for the system and for the viewers, for you guys that are viewing the videos every week. I do thank you guys for tuning in. Trying to get the numbers up as much as I can, trying to promote it a little more, so hopefully we get that going. More free winners given out. Only fight I think I was off on was the Benitez fight. I did lean Benitez in that fight. Billy showed up. Great grappling. He out-grappled Benitez. I thought Benitez may be able to work a little more and get up. When he was striking, you can see he knocked him down once in the third. Very tough guy. Good fight, but Billy continues to show he comes out and he fights for his placement in the UFC. Another profitable card for myself and subscribers. We were on Islam to win the fight by finish. You got the sub, plus 137, guys. Cutting down the line from, it was around minus 600 when it opened. It jumped before the fight. I don't know if you guys seen it, to minus 1,000. Okay, it's just not a bettable line. It's not even worth to throw in a two-fight parlay. So what you do is you try to find an outcome. And that's what I'm good at doing, finding outcomes in these fights. And plus 137 was crazy. I got that on Tuesday or Wednesday for my clients. And it moved to, I think, plus, it was minus 105, plus 100 at the fight. So great value there. Definitely happy on that. And Miesha Tate came back after that long layoff and looked great. It's the first time probably I wasn't hesitant to bet on a fighter that was off a long layoff. You know me, if you've been following my videos for a year or so now, you know I like to try to avoid the fighters that are coming off long layoffs or an injury layoff, but I did think this was a perfect situation for her. She looked great in training camp, great shape, very determined to get that title shot again, and it seems like her head was clear. It seems like she had issues before, I think with an ex, and it showed right later in her career, and then she kind of refreshed, and she's still somewhat young, right? I think early 30s. Early to mid-30s, so I do think she could still make a little run here. Great grappling. She showed it all. I thought maybe it would go a decision, but she stopped her with a TKO finish, which I always thought was a possibility. And it just was a good situation for Tate. Renee was done. 4-fight losing streak. She's 44. Everything was perfect for her to come back and get a win under her belt, and another win or two, she can get that title shot. You never know. Islam we'll talk about a little more here. He looked dominant, right? I love the price at plus 137, like I mentioned. Moises is very high level on the ground, and he made him look like a purple belt. It was crazy. Very impressive from Islam. A lot of people don't like his fighting style, thinks it's boring. I think it's very very high level, and I do think his striking, obviously he's very high level on the ground. We know that. We know similar. I think it's similar to Khabib's style, yes. I do think his striking is good, but he keeps mentioning, I want to show my striking, but my team is telling me to take it down. I get it. That's where he is better than any of his opponents moving forward. He's better than on the ground, so why take a chance and strike? Right? Avoid his takedowns, and then you can beat the guy. That's what I think. If you can avoid the takedowns, you can beat the guy. I'm trying to picture someone in that division that can, and it might be a struggle, guys. It's going to be a struggle. I know he's calling out a bunch of guys. Chandler said he doesn't want to fight him. I don't think he's going to take the Dariush fight just because they're same management. I don't think that he wants that. Hooker, he called out Hooker. They've been going back and forth on Twitter. Hooker's calling him out. I don't think it's a good fight for Hooker at all. I give a shout out to Hooker, man. He takes the big fights. He wants to fight the big guys. Poirier, Chandler. He's calling out Islam. These are tough. He already lost the last 2 fights, right? He's lost the last 2 fights, and that's why I get why Islam doesn't want to fight him. Islam wants a top 3, top 5 type of guy. Hooker's just falling out of that top 5, right? So interested to see what happens there. And see who's next for Islam. I can't wait to see who is next. Let's get into the weekly update, guys. Weekly update. Best bets stay the same. No best bets last week. Up in units. Remember, this is long term, guys. 19, 20 months long term. You won't see a lot of handicappers posting long term records because they usually won't look that good. 10 plus money winners in the last 5 cards, guys, and 70% UFC Run. These are obviously all for my subscribers. Free plays are similar, guys. Free plays, I think I may have lost 1 or 2 fights in the last 2 cards. And it's probably like a 14, 15, and 3 run for you guys. So hopefully you guys are taking advantage of those free plays every week. Another huge major for myself and clients in the PGA, guys. PGA is overcoming the UFC lately, and over 10 units won at the Open last week, and 3-0 best bets. Which makes me 68% on best bets long term, as long as I've been posting my, as long as I've been having my subscription service available. 70% matchup run currently, and 10 outrights as well, guys. Scaling from plus 900 to plus 4,500. Shout out to the Bucks. Well deserved. Giannis showed up big in the finals, playing probably not 100%. I don't think, obviously, Chris Paul was playing 100%. Suns had a great story. They weren't able to get it done. I lay low in the NBA playoffs. About even in the NBA playoffs. Profitable in the regular season, but I didn't focus too much on the NBA finals at all this season. Tough to see Paul not get that ring. I would have loved to see it, but hey, Milwaukee, they deserve it. Well deserved for Giannis. Sticking with Milwaukee and winning and not going to that super team and cheating your way to the championship, in my opinion. He won and stayed with Milwaukee. Drew Holiday was a great pickup for them. I think he put them over the hump as well. NFL is around the corner, guys. NFL is 50 days away. 50 days away. You'll be getting 2 videos a week from me. You'll be getting the UFC video and the NFL video. So look forward to that. Exciting stuff. Here's a message from my friend Meredith.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, guys. Also, check out systemsportscapping.com for subscription opportunities, full records, and also free plays. Another free play winner last week with Brooks Koepka top 20. That cash easily. I'll post it on my Twitter, but just check weekly for free picks on my website. I put them up there. Just started putting them up there. I put an article, a reason. I tell you why I like it, not just, some guy throwing out on Twitter, bet this, and then it usually loses. So follow real reasons. I tell you why I like it, not some guy just throwing out some pick. I tell you why, just like the videos. Same thing, I love writing, right? I write for multiple websites as well. So I love telling you why I think the pick is going to win. And hopefully you guys can cash on more free plays like that as well. Guys, please like the video. It helps me out a lot. Comment out as well. Trying to grow the channel. So that does come a long way. If you guys can do that, that will be great. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into the main card, guys. Remember, shop around. Shop around for the best price. These aren't the best prices. These are generic prices that I'm putting up that are on my graphics. Always shop around. They do move from time to time. Let's get right into the main event. which I'm very excited for. Very excited for this main event. It was supposed to happen a while ago. We know Dillashaw got hurt. It's happening now. Sandhagen, minus 195. It's climbing. It's climbing. It's 200 some places versus Dillashaw plus 165. I can't remember last time Dillashaw was plus 165. The money's coming on Sandhagen here, and I do think it's the right side money. We all know Dillashaw's story, right? So I'm not going to get too deep into it. If you've been watching the interviews the past at least few months since his fight's been, recalled, it's all about the suspension, right? Over 2 years suspension on the PEDs, and he's admitted it. I think he's dealt with it very well. He hasn't been denying it. He's coming out. He's been addressing it. I do think he's handled it very well. Very impressed how Dillashaw's handling. He's not being an asshole or a coward. He's hitting it head on. He is saying that he's coming back looking better than ever. He's saying he looks strong. He's better than ever, better than when he was on the PEDs and trying to cut that weight. It's hard for me to agree to that without seeing it, right? If you know me, I like to stay off these type of fights when fighters are coming back off long layoffs, minus the Misha fight. That was different. I mentioned it earlier. 44-year-old fighter ending her career. Totally opposite with Sandhagen, right? This is the future of the division. A lot of people think he's going to be the next champion. He's in his prime, maybe not even reached his prime yet. So this is a big difference. It's hard for me to just jump all over this at this price. It's totally opposite, right? In the comeback type of fight. These two used to train together, so they know each other very well. Corey was coming up, and TJ was the champ at that time, top of the division. Not too much feedback from training. I've heard a couple guys say it's very competitive. Curtis Blades tweeted that Sandhagen touched him up on the feet, which I can see. I can see it being very competitive on the feet as well. I've heard mix and match stories, so I'm not going to really take too much off that. And that was years ago. I do think Corey has got a lot better, especially after the Sterling loss, right? After that Sterling loss, he just seemed to learn a lot. I just think he matured a ton after that Sterling loss. With TJ, we don't know how he's going to look because it's been so long, right? He could come out looking great. He can and not have that ring rust. Maybe even a new style fighter, right? He says he knows how to beat. He says he's a smart fighter. He knows how to beat Sandhagen. He'll have a game plan specifically for Sandhagen. I get it, but we just haven't seen it for so long, right? Sure, he could come out and not be affected by this long layoff, but I just can't get there. It's just very hard, and it's very hard for me to go all in here, even though if I do like Sandhagen, right? Yes, Corey, he should win this fight. He does have the momentum on his side. He is the more active fighter. TJ hasn't been active at all, and we just don't know how he's going to look. Nobody does. If someone tells you they know how TJ Dillashaw is going to look in this fight, they're lying to you. We don't know. It's too long of a layoff. We do not know how he's going to look. If I bet this fight, it would have to be Sandhagen. However, I don't want to lay the price. I'm not in love with this price. Best price, I think you can get at minus 185 is probably the cheapest. And it could make a 2-fight parlay for me. But if you're going to look at it, there's an outcome side of it. And that's what I like finding. Because that's where all the value is, guys. I'm not a guy that's going to lay minus 195. I rarely have done it. I've done it before. And it usually doesn't pan out. I've done it maybe I can count on one hand, right? I've laid it, and I think I'm maybe about even with betting it. It's just not worth the price when you're laying that much juice. So your alternative is a 2-fight parlay if you like Sandhagen, or an outcome, and it would have to be the finish for me. We've seen Dillashaw get finished in the past. It is 5 rounds. He hasn't been fighting for over 2 years now. So you got to think, is he going to be able to last in there? And, we have seen Sandhagen finish fights very quickly. It has to be the finish. I don't see it going 5 rounds, guys. Could it go later in the fight? It could. It could go 3, 4, 5 rounds. I just don't see it getting to the judges. I see someone finishing the fight. I do think Sandhagen should finish this fight. So you want to look at the plus money there instead of laying this minus 195. If you're, a little weary on the outcome, I do get it. It's not a best bet or a play that I have bet as of yet, the outcome. I do have to look into that a little more. But put in a 2-fight parlay. I suggest the 2-fight parlays in certain cases. Avoid anything higher than the 2-fight parlay. Sandhagen, minus 185, minus 190. Not a bet I can do straight up, but it's something that I'm going to look at in the 2-fight parlay or an outcome. And I don't see this fight going the distance, guys. So if you can get a good number on that, take a look at that. Co-main, guys. Co-main event. Aspen Ladd, she's back. Minus 190 versus Chase on plus 160. Very interesting co-main event, to say the least. I didn't see this one getting booked. Ladd's been out for about 19 months, guys, with a bad injury. Makes me hesitant to pull the trigger after a bad injury, even though I do think this matchup does favor Ladd in the style. Ladd has fought the much better competition in the UFC. Beat Eubanks twice. Big win in her last time out versus Yana Kunitsa, who we seen fight a few weeks ago. And had her only one loss to the vet in the Randomine, which is a respectful loss, even though it was a first-round KO. She bounced back nicely after the loss, beating the Russian. And then with Chase on... she is getting some buzz. I get it. Great stand-up. Nice 7-1 record. No real impressive wins, though, if we look at her wins, right? She has a nice win over Kanazad. I think she's the Persian-Swedish fighter. She looked good her last time out. Gina Manazzi. And then Renault, who we seen last week, right, lose to Tate. So no big names, no impressive wins yet, but she's looking good on the feet. She is looking good on the feet. Now, I don't know really why Ladd and her team wanted to take this fight. It is a risky fight, and you're fighting a number 9 while you're number 3. Even Chason mentioned in an interview this week that I don't know why they called me for this fight. She said she was surprised, but she said it was a good opportunity, and I totally agree, right? If Ladd comes out with a smart game plan and just grapples and makes it ugly and gets it to the ground, she wins this fight. If she decides to stand and try to, kickbox and strike with Chason, she could lose this fight in decision. So it's all about game plan here. I think Ladd's going to come out and be smart and just grapple. We've seen Chason get taken down time and time again. We've seen Renault take her down a few times in her last fight. So Ladd knows how to win this fight. Now, how is Chason going to be able to avoid the takedowns? I don't know. I don't think so, guys. So that's why I'm leaning Ladd here. The price, though, minus 190 is not appealing. Again, 2-fight parlay opportunity. If you look at an outcome, it's a 3-round fight. I lean the decision because I can see Ladd just taking her down. But a TKO finish later in the fight is on the table, right? Now, again, she's coming off that injury. I don't love that. I don't love betting on a fighter that's coming off the injury, even though I do think the style favors her. I don't love it. So it's something that I'm not going to be all in on. It's not something that I bet as of yet. I do think Ladd gets it done if she sticks to that game plan that I just mentioned of grappling and getting it down to the ground. If she decides to grapple and get it down to the ground, she wins this fight probably by decision, maybe late TKO. But Chason looked impressive, guys, in her fights, even though this competition is not a Ladd competition that she's been beating, right? This is a big step up for her. She even mentioned that she's ranked number 9th, and this is a number 3 fighter. So great opportunity for her. Does this benefit Ladd at all? No. She's supposed to win this fight, but I think it's a good comeback fight for her. I do think her team didn't want a higher ranked opponent, and I do think she does get some clout by winning this fight. because people are talking about Jason, right? She is 7-1. It's not like she's some fighter that's just coming into the UFC with no wins under her belt. She has some nice wins under her belt, and I do think it's a good fight to come back at after a little long layoff with a bad injury. So it could be a smart play, but if she loses this fight, it's terrible. It's terrible for her. So that's why I think she'll be focused for this one. I think she'll come back, use the game plan of grappling, and just win an ugly one. Grapple, keep it down on the ground, possible late TKO or decision win, and that's how I think Lad gets this done. Next fight here, guys. Kyler Phillips. Yes, Kyler Phillips is back in the octagon. Love watching this guy fight versus Pieva. Plus 220. Kyler Phillips, you can get it at minus 270. Yikes. A little high for my blood, especially for a guy that's relatively new to the UFC. And Pieva has a lot more experience in there. However, that experience is at a lower weight in 125. He's moving up, guys. Pieva is moving up, which I'm a little concerned about. And Kyler Phillips just has been looking great. Big win over Song Yadong in a very competitive fight, but he looked great in there. See, with Phillips, he's fairly well-rounded. I think anywhere this fight goes, he's comfortable. I know Pieva, he likes to come forward, which might not be a good idea. I just can't get to this number. It's priced correctly, I think, because they know that Phillips does have a great future. I think in this division, I think Pieva moving up is not good for him, and I do think the kid comes through. A lot of talk about Phillips. I know O'Malley talks about him a lot. They do train together. He's really high on him. It's tough to call an outcome here. Very tough. I think he could get the stoppage, but it's not something I'm confident on. So that's why this minus 270 price is tough. It's tough for me to bet this fight. Obviously 2-fight parlay is an option, but it is tough to get to this price. No value here. Obviously the value is Pieva, but how am I going to get the Pieva moving up a weight class? He's not going to have it as advantage. Usually at featherweight, he has the advantage, right, at plus 125 because he's the bigger guy, but he's not going to here. So I just can't really get onto this fight. Phillips possibly in a 2-fight parlay. That's the only thing. I don't have an outcome play here because I just don't know how it's gonna go. If it's gonna go to the decision or if it's gonna be a KO. So I'll look at Phillips here in a 2-fight parlay, possibly. I haven't put my parlays together yet. I do send those out to subscribers on Friday. But it is a parlay piece possibly for me, 2-fighter. Elkins. Oh my God. This is going to be a wild one, I think, guys. Elkins plus 130 versus Minner minus 155. I could just never lay minus 155 with Minner. It's just impossible. It's impossible for me to lay this price with Minner. Yes, he's looked good. Guys, he's looked good in his last 2 fights over decent names. And TJ Lemary, who came in with some hype, and then Charles Rosa, who he submitted. But Rosa's been getting submitted back-to-back, right? Well, he won his last fight recently, but he got submitted Mitchell and Minner, right, in back-to-back fights. Now, with Elkins, how he could win this fight, very durable. We know he's tough. But he can wrestle. He can just take down this. If he goes to just wrestling and taking it down. Last fight he had 6 takedowns. In this fight, if he just wrestles and gets this to the ground, he can win this fight. Minner, he's going to come out swinging. He's going to try to end this early. Questionable cardio. Even though it looked better last time out, it's always questionable with him. His cardio. So that's something to play in here. I don't know if I'm going to bet this fight. I probably won't, just because of the price. And minus 155 with Minner is just a no-no, guys. It's a dog situation here if you're going to bet this fight, in my opinion. I suggest don't bet it. Enjoy it. It could be very entertaining. We could see an early knockout. We could see a later. An outcome here is very tough to call. It could be a late fight. You know, it could go all 5. It can go all 3 rounds, or we can see like a quick stoppage in the first round. I have no idea what's going to happen, to be honest, in this fight, guys. I'm staying away from it. I'm going to enjoy it. Hopefully, it's a slugfest. It could be possibly a fight of the night if it goes, you know, further into the fight. Interesting one here, guys. Maverick minus 135 versus Barber plus 115. 2 young fighters, which you would think would fight maybe a little later on in their career, but they're getting it over with now. Not a ton of fights in this division, so I get it. These two are fighting now. It's a very intriguing fight and tough to call because I think it's fairly evenly matched. Maverick in our last fight we were on cashed very easily. Full unit. I think I got to a best bet, to be honest, on that fight. Maverick's very good all around. Very strong girl, farmer strength. However, still fairly raw, right? Still fairly raw. Only two UFC fights. I know she has that Invicta career as well, but Barber, she's definitely been in there with the better competition and better opponents. However, she lost to both those opponents. Roxanne, she got hurt in that, so that's tough to call. And then Grosso just picked her apart, outstruck her, and Barber wasn't able to really get her Grosso to the ground, and we thought could be her path to victory. She wasn't able to hold her down. So this is a very interesting matchup. I think it's going to be very close. It's a very difficult fight to bet, in my opinion. I am a Maverick believer. I really like her. I just think it's a bit too early against a tough opponent her back's kind of against the wall, losing 2 in a row, guys. I hate betting against fighters that lost 2 in a row, especially a promising fighter like Barber. Could this be a bit too soon for Maverick? Possibly. I can see Barber just trying to get this to the ground. I can see Barber getting this to the ground. Is she going to be able to keep Maverick there? That's the question. I think on the feet it's fairly even. Maybe lean Barber, but I think it's fairly even on the feet. Maverick improved her striking a lot. So it's a very tough fight to call. What I like best in this fight, guys, I think it's going to go the distance. Over 2.5 rounds is a good look as well. But this fight going to the distance and the judges, it's probably one of my favorite plays on this card, guys. I'm going to give it out to you guys. Why not? Decision. So whoever you like in this fight, bet the decision. You're going to get the better price. I don't see this fight. Where is it going to get finished? On the feet, no. On the TKO finish, possibly. No submission. It could be a possible TKO finish, but I think it's going to be too competitive for it to finish here. So that's what I like here. Fight to go the distance and to the judges. On a side, guys, I don't have a side play here, to be honest. It would be a guess because I do think it's actually 50-50 who's going to win this fight. So watch it, enjoy it. I think it's going to be a great battle. Barber's back is somewhat against the wall, losing 2 in a row. And Maverick, somewhat newer, a little more raw, her style. Still trying to find her identity, I think. So that's why I can't jump on her, especially at a minus 135 price. So enjoy this one, guys. And if you're going to bet it, play a decision and to make the judges' scorecard. Last fight here, guys, I'm not going to really talk much about it. Mickey Gall plus 155 versus Williams minus 180. Now, with Gall, it's very up and down. You don't know where you're going to get from the guy. Williams, he has weight cut issues. Watch the weigh-ins in this one if you really want to bet it. He has issues making weight, Williams. He has an illness. Can't really remember off the top of my head what he has. But that's why he can't make it. Gall is just very up and down. 6-3. Lost to Perry the last time out. He got dominated on the ground in that one, which you rarely see from Perry. A loss to Diego Sanchez a few years ago, and we know Diego is way out of his prime and not fighting well. So this isn't a fight I'll be on, even though I think there's value with Gall at that price. Williams just a lot more explosive on the feet here. I do think he'll be the bigger guy. Weight cut may be an issue for the guy, though, so that's why I can't bet it. stay away from this one, guys. Big alert. Stay away. That's my suggestion on this fight. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Hope you guys enjoy the card. Check out my website. Like, subscribe, do all that crazy stuff for me. It does help me out a lot. And until next week, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.